Welcome to the Fly East Africa Weekly Bulletin, brought to you by Easy Flights, your number one center for the best flight deals across the globe. My name is Mugeni Von Isabella. But first, the headlines. Uganda Airlines announces 7 regional destinations. RwandAir and South African Airways to launch Guangzhou flights. And here are the news in detail. Uganda Airlines announces 7 regional destinations. The new national carrier of Uganda announced that it had secured 7 regional destinations, and these included the following: Nairobi, Mombasa, Juba, Bujumbura, Dar es Salaam, Kilimanjaro, and Mogadishu. The airline that boasts of its recently received 2 CRJ 900 will receive another 2 in July and in September, and its Airbus A330neo in 2020. The airline intends to operate in 19 destinations, both continental and international routes, and the nation has 47 bilateral air service agreements with 47 countries across the globe. The airline intends to establish booking offices in all 7 planned destinations. More women needed in strategic positions in aviation industry. Refilwe Ledwaba. In an exclusive with South Africa's Fin24 on the sidelines of Verde, Refilwe, the founder and managing director of Women in Aviation Africa, said the following: "Women are not given opportunities in positions where they would make strategic decisions in the aviation industry." She added that less than 3% of CEOs in the global airline industry are women. For instance, a lot of women work in HR, human resources, in the aviation industry, and I'm not saying that it's not a good career, but there are not enough women in strategy positions. Otherwise, they would be seen at aviation events like Verde. She highlighted the lack of role models for girls and wrong perception women have of not being able to take on aviation. She suggested the need for grassroots to inspire and motivate young girls to take on aviation careers. Air Zimbabwe talks with government to take charge of its huge debt. Regi Saruchera, the interim administrator of Air Zimbabwe, revealed that the airline is currently in talks with the government to conclude a debt management process. The airline, in financial difficulty, dragged with it a debt of more than $300 million, including $30 million to foreign creditors and $292 million to 9 state-owned companies. In a notice to all creditors last week, Saruchera said that the assumption of debt is a precondition for the recovery of the airline and the entry of a strategic partner. Missions are currently underway with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development to finalize the debt management process. The airline is also engaging strategic partners and potential investors to improve its sustainability and competitiveness. Air Zimbabwe has been placed under provisional administration since last August under the bankruptcy law applicable to insolvent public companies. The company's remainder are now held by the international audit and advisory group Grant Thornton Chartered Accountants. In July 2017, it laid off nearly 200 employees as part of its restructuring plan. Kenya Airways to operate an additional flight to Bujumbura. The new additional afternoon flight will be operated by GOV'T using a Bombardier Q400. The new additional flight is in line with the airline's route expansion and growth of GOV'T, the low-cost subsidy of the Kenya Airways. This had the CEO Sebastian Miskos saying, "This increase to our local and regional network is part of our strategic intent to expand our footprint across Africa." The new additional supplements the already daily morning flights between the East African capitals operated by an Embraer 190. RwandAir to launch Guangzhou flights on 18th June. On 10th May, An announcement was made about the inauguration of Kigali to Guangzhou to Mumbai route, and June 18th was set as a date to this. The route will be operated using an Airbus A330. RwandAir will use the fifth freedom while operating flights from Guangzhou to Mumbai. The new route will be served 3 times a week, thus on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. The CEO of RwandAir, Yvonne Manzi Makolo, had the following to say: with the increasing volume of trade between African countries and China, the need to meet the high demand of businessmen and traders traveling between Africa and Guangzhou is strongly felt. This new route will open new business opportunities and also increase our passenger and cargo traffic. Guangzhou will become the airline's 28th destination worldwide. South African Airways to launch direct route to Guangzhou. The South African Airways announced a direct route to Guangzhou, China from Johannesburg on 5th May 2019. The direct flights from Johannesburg to Guangzhou will start on 18th September 2019. This is part of South African Airways' turnaround strategy aimed at enhancing its route network for efficiency as well as competition. The decision to launch this direct service between Johannesburg and Guangzhou means we remain on track in executing our strategy to transform South African Airways into a fit for the future airline that will operate both efficiently and competitively, said South African Airways CEO Vuyani Jarana. The Johannesburg-Guangzhou journey will approximately take 13 hours and 40 minutes. Using this new direct route, and South African Airways is the only carrier offering this service on the continent. The route will cater for the business and corporate classes. However, special interest will be given to traders and cargo operations. 3 new flights per week will fly to Guangzhou in South China, and this will complement South African Airways' current operations to Hong Kong. This means South African Airways will fly 4 times a week to Hong Kong. Airbus 340 to 300 aircraft will operate both the Guangzhou and Hong Kong route. A yet-to-be-released schedule for the new route will connect to more than 20 cities of China from the initial destination, Guangzhou, including Shanghai, Nanjing, Beijing, Kunming, among others. This will foster transport for commercial integration, which will benefit not only South African Airways, but also South Africa as a whole, as argues Jarana. We are confident that the introduction of this route is based on sound commercial considerations and will not only benefit South African Airways, but South Africa as a whole, as China is the largest source market in Asia. It is also South Africa's largest trading partner in the world, concluded Jarana. Air Botswana reschedules Gaborone to Harare and Lusaka flights. The route that was scheduled to be launched on the 2nd of April 2019 has now been rescheduled for the 2nd of July. The airline will operate 2 weekly flights on Tuesday and Thursday using an Embraer E170 that was delivered to the airline in December 2018. The first leg of the flight will depart at 5:30 p.m., arrive at Harare at 7:55 p.m., then depart for Lusaka at 8:55 p.m., arriving at 9:40 p.m. The aircraft will then return to its hub, departing from Lusaka at 11:30 p.m. All times indicated are local times. TAAG Angola resumed Cape Verde flights. After a halt in 2016, TAAG Angola announced that it will resume flights to Cape Verde. The route will be operated using a Boeing 737-700 next generation. The Angolan national carrier will make a stopover in Sao Tome and Principe before proceeding to Cape Verde. In November 2018, a memorandum of understanding was signed by transport ministers of 2 nations. The agreement was aimed at consolidating and enhancing cooperation amongst the nation's air transport. Thanks for watching the Fly East Africa News Bulletin, brought to you by Easy Flights for the best flight deals around the globe. A quick look at our headlines. Uganda Airlines announces 7 regional destinations. RwandAir and South African Airways to launch Guangzhou flights. For more details, subscribe to the Fly East Africa YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, Fly East Africa, and like our Facebook page, Fly East Africa. Once again, my name is Mugeni Yvonne Isabella. A good evening.